Hey everybody, I have to share this moment with you guys. It happened on Sunday and it was just this really powerful thing. I've been like sitting on it for a couple days and trying to figure out if I should share it, if I should just kind of keep it to myself. But God really kind of like spoke to me in this really awesome moment this week. So I'm sitting there on Sunday. We are starting church and doing services again. In person, very clean, very social distance, doing everything as wise as we can. And because of that, our services look different. And to be honest with you, there were not a lot of people in the room, which I am kind of not used to. In church, we usually have a good number, a full room that feels good. But this is different. This is a different time for all of us, and it's definitely different on a Sunday. And if I'm honest with you, I wasn't feeling it. Just be straight transparent with you guys. I was not feeling that Sunday. I had not slept very good. I was feeling upset to my stomach. I wanted to sleep in. It was my birthday weekend. And I was like, man, I didn't get to do small groups with my students, and I just kind of wasn't feeling it. But went to church because it's my job, but still went to church, and I was just honest with God beforehand and just said, Lord, I'm not feeling it today. Can you do something to kind of change my attitude? Can you wake me up a little bit? And this is a moment I probably won't forget for a while. But in the midst of worship, there's a handful of people in the room, and kudos to Ryan and the rest of our band who did a wonderful job with not making it feel awkward and still giving their hearts in worship and giving us a great lead into worshiping God together, even in the midst of just an awkward moment. But there was this man who has been a part of our church for since the beginning, for a very long time. And he is older. He's definitely older than me, and he's someone who I know pretty well. And usually when he's at church, he's with his family and talking to everybody and really social and a really solid, good leader in our church. But it was different to see him just alone, totally alone in his row. We've separated our rows out, and he was just alone. He usually sits with his family and his kids and his grandkids, and is a really kind of extrovert guy. But he was just alone, and it kind of caught me off guard seeing him alone, and I just kind of watched him for a second, and it was this really cool moment in worship where he alone just kind of softly, kind of show you, just softly lifted his hand just like this and had his eyes closed and was just singing the melody to the worship song loud and proud. And it was in that moment where I saw that, and God woke me up. God answered my prayer, and he said, Jacob, that's what I want. He said, that's what I want. Just by himself, no, not trying to impress anybody, not trying to, make everybody see him, not surrounded by people, not trying to be any certain type of way. Just saw this older man, and then just exuding his personal relationship with Jesus in that moment, just him and God. And it was so cool to see. And that's what God told me. He said, Jacob, that's what I want. That's what I want from him. That's what I want from you. That's what I want from the church in this season of life. God wants to be close to us. He wants a personal relationship with us. And I mean personal, just you and him, not family, not spouse, not kids, not jobs, not co-workers, not preconceived notions, not trying to impress anyone. Just this small, quiet moment of us and him. Is that where we are? I was challenged in that moment. Is that where I am? What's my relationship like with God? The God of the universe wants to be with us. And I'm reading today in 2 Timothy, and I know I'm close to passing my time already that I usually shoot for, but I just had this really awesome moment. In 2 Timothy, Paul's writing to Timothy, and he's writing from prison. if you don't know much about Timothy, 2 Timothy specifically is what most believe to be the last book that Paul wrote, and it's a very intimate, very personal letter to Timothy. And Paul is straight up in prison, like dungeon, with chains around him, like he's going to be executed soon. In 2 Timothy chapter 1, he goes on a long list, but I'll just share this one verse for you. In verse 12, he talks about his suffering, and Paul says, "That is why I'm suffering as I am, yet I'm not ashamed, because I know whom I have believed, and am convinced that he is able to guard what I have entrusted him for that day." And I've heard that verse hundreds of times, and I've memorized that verse before in the past, and I kind of just saw it as this big picture, like I know who God is, and I trust him with my life and all that. But if you put it into context of what Paul is going through, he's showing Timothy and he's showing us that even though he's in prison, even though he's about to be executed, it's his personal relationship with Jesus that's giving him the confidence to keep going. He says, "I know whom I have believed." I know Jesus personally. That's what God wants from us. That's what God wants from you and me today, is a personal relationship with him. I hope you've tuned in with this video for a little bit longer than normal, but I had to share that with you guys, just that picture of just a solid, singular, one man in worship, just connecting with God in a whole new way because of his personal one-on-one relationship with him. How's your relationship with Jesus today? Love you guys.